4:30 a.m. The gym is empty. The silence cuts like a blade. Most people are dreaming. But Kobe Bryant? He's bleeding into his shoes, one rep at a time. What if I told you that the man who inspired millions wasn't motivational at all? He was something far more dangerous. He was honest. Here's the paradox that haunts every dreamer. The people who change the world aren't the ones who talk about motivation. They're the ones who embrace the brutality of becoming. Kobe Bryant gave us over 40 speeches, interviews, and moments that cut straight to the bone. But here's what nobody tells you: these weren't motivational speeches. They were confessions. Confessions of a man who chose to live in the uncomfortable space between who he was and who he needed to become. The question isn't whether you want to be great. The question is whether you're willing to die 1,000 deaths to get there. Because that's what Kobe understood that most people don't. See, we live in a world that sells us comfort, that tells us to find our passion, follow our dreams, and trust the process. But Kobe? He lived in a different reality. A reality where passion wasn't enough. Where dreams were just the starting point. Where the process was designed to break you. Tonight, we're going to walk through the mind of a man who refused to accept human limitations. Not because he was superhuman, but because he was willing to be subhuman first. To crawl through the darkness that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. 1978. A 6-year-old boy moves to Italy with his family. His father, a former NBA player, chasing dreams across an ocean. The boy doesn't speak the language, doesn't fit in, doesn't belong. But in that isolation, something was born. Something that would later terrify opponents and inspire millions. It wasn't talent. It wasn't even determination. It was a cold whisper in his chest that said, "If you don't have anything else, you'll always have the work." Kobe would later say, "I learned to be comfortable being uncomfortable in Italy." But that's not the whole truth. The truth is darker. The truth is that he learned to find home in homelessness. To find identity in the absence of identity. To find strength in the space where most people find only emptiness. When he returned to America, he wasn't just a basketball player. He was a translator. Someone who spoke the language of sacrifice in a world that had forgotten what that word meant. He could take the abstract concept of hard work and make it tangible. Make it bleed. His first NBA workout. Teammates show up at 9 a.m. Kobe's been there since 5. Not because he's trying to impress anyone. Because he's trying to survive. Because he understands something that took Michael Jordan years to learn. The game isn't played in the arena. It's played in the silence. In the moments when nobody's watching. When nobody's cheering. When the only voice you hear is the one telling you to quit. And that's where the speeches began. Not in press conferences or interviews. But in the internal monologue of a kid who learned that the world doesn't owe you anything. That respect isn't given. That belonging isn't inherited. That everything you want lives on the other side of everything you fear. The origin story isn't about basketball. It's about a fundamental choice that most people never make. The choice to live in the question instead of the answer. To find identity not in who you are, but in who you're willing to become. From 40 speeches, 3 principles emerge. Not motivational mantras, but surgical tools for cutting through the lies we tell ourselves. I can't relate to lazy people. We don't speak the same language. I don't understand you. I don't want to understand you. This isn't arrogance. This is archaeological precision. Kobe understood that every moment you're not growing, you're dying. Every comfort you choose is a small death. Every time you hit the snooze button, you're practicing for the bigger snooze. The one that lasts forever. He once said, "I have self-doubt. I have insecurity. I have fear of failure. I have nights when I show up at the arena and I'm like, my back hurts, my feet hurt, my knees hurt. I don't have it. I just want to chill." We all have self-doubt. You don't deny it, but you also don't capitulate to it. You embrace it. The muse isn't inspiration. The muse is the awareness that time is running out. That every day you don't push yourself is a day you'll never get back. That the gap between who you are and who you could be is filled with the ghosts of unchosen actions. I'll do whatever it takes to win games, whether it's sitting on a bench waving a towel, handing a cup of water to a teammate, or hitting the game-winning shot. Most people think obsession is unhealthy. Kobe knew it was the only thing that was honest. Because here's what nobody tells you about passion: it's not enough. Passion fades. Passion gets tired. Passion finds excuses. But obsession? Obsession is metabolic. It changes your chemistry. It rewires your brain. It makes the impossible feel inevitable and the inevitable feel insufficient. The most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great at whatever they want to do. But inspiration without obsession is just entertainment. It's motivation porn. It's the feeling without the doing. Kobe's obsession wasn't with basketball. It was with the process of becoming, with the daily death and rebirth that excellence demands, with the willingness to be misunderstood, to be called crazy, to be isolated in the pursuit of something that might not even exist. I have nothing in common with lazy people who blame others for their lack of success. Great things come from hard work and perseverance. No excuses. This isn't about toughness. This is about translation. Most people experience pain as a stop sign. Kobe learned to read it as a GPS system. Pain telling you where you are, where you need to go, what you need to change. He played through injuries that would sideline most people. Not because he was superhuman, but because he understood that pain has a language. And if you're not listening, you're not learning. The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. But it's deeper than that. The moment you give up is the moment you stop translating. You stop asking what the pain is trying to teach you. You stop growing. Every speech, every interview, every moment of raw honesty was Kobe translating pain into purpose. Showing us that the thing that breaks you is the same thing that makes you. That the enemy isn't failure, it's the refusal to learn from it. These aren't motivational principles. They're survival mechanisms. Ways of thinking that allow you to exist in the space between who you are and who you need to become. In the space where most people suffocate, but champions learn to breathe. Theory without proof is just philosophy. But Kobe's mindset wasn't theoretical. It was surgical. It cut through reality and left evidence. 2013. Game 2 of the playoffs. The pop heard around the world. Achilles tendon severed. Career over? For most people, yes. For Kobe, it was just another conversation with pain. He limped to the free throw line, made both shots, walked off the court on his own power. Not because he was tough, because he was fluent in a language most people never learn. The language of non-negotiable commitment. I can't relate to lazy people. We don't speak the same language. This wasn't a soundbite. This was a medical diagnosis. A man who had rewired his nervous system to interpret limitation as invitation. I saw you come in here at 4 a.m. and you were doing conditioning. I was coming in at 6 a.m. and you were already done with your workout. This is 4 a.m. I said, dude, why are you here so early? You said, what time does the gym close? This story, told by a teammate, isn't about work ethic. It's about relationship. Kobe wasn't just working out. He was having a conversation with his future self. Every rep was a question. What are you willing to sacrifice for what you want? The 4 a.m. sessions weren't about getting better than other people. They were about getting better than the person he was yesterday. About creating a daily practice of becoming. About refusing to accept his current limitations as permanent. I don't want to be the next Michael Jordan. I only want to be Kobe Bryant. This wasn't humility. This was recognition. Recognition that the work isn't about competition. It's about conversation. A conversation with your potential that can only happen in the silence. In the space between who you are and who you're becoming. Mamba Mentality is about 4 a.m. workouts, doing more than the next guy, and then defeating him psychologically. But the mentality wasn't about defeating other people. It was about defeating the voice that says enough. The voice that says tomorrow. The voice that says you're not built for this. I focus on one thing at a time. I think that's what separates me. Not multitasking. Not balance. Not moderation. Singular focus applied with surgical precision. The ability to make everything else disappear until only the work remains. The proof isn't in the championships. The proof is in the daily choice to show up when showing up feels impossible. To work when work feels pointless. To believe when belief feels naive. Knowledge without application is just entertainment. So how do you translate Kobe's mindset into your reality? How do you take these principles and make them bleed into your daily life? You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. You need to find your 4 a.m. The time when excuses go to sleep and attention wakes up. The time when you're alone with your work and your work is alone with you. What time does the gym close? This isn't about hours. It's about relationship. What's your relationship with your craft? With your growth? With the gap between who you are and who you're becoming? Your 4 a.m. might be 10 p.m. It might be Sunday morning. It might be the 30 minutes before everyone else wakes up. The time doesn't matter. The intention does. The willingness to have a conversation with your potential when nobody's watching. Every frustration is information. Every failure is data. Every moment of wanting to quit is a question. What is this trying to teach me? I have nothing in common with lazy people who blame others for their lack of success. This isn't about judgment. It's about translation. When you fail, do you blame the circumstances or interview the failure? Do you make excuses or make adjustments? Start keeping a failure journal. Not to dwell on mistakes, but to mine them for intelligence. What patterns emerge? What lessons repeat? What is your pain trying to teach you that you're not hearing? I'll do whatever it takes to win games, whether it's sitting on a bench waving a towel, handing a cup of water to a teammate, or hitting the game-winning shot. What are you obsessed with? Not passionate about? Not interested in? Obsessed with? The thing that makes you lose track of time. The thing that makes you forget to eat. The thing that makes comfort feel like betrayal. If you don't have an obsession, you don't have a direction. You have a hobby. You have a daydream. You have a someday. But you don't have a path. Every day I'm trying to be a better version of myself from yesterday. This isn't about self-improvement. This is about identity destruction. The willingness to kill who you were yesterday to become who you need to be today. What version of yourself do you need to kill today? What comfort do you need to sacrifice? What story do you need to stop telling yourself? The daily death isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's the choice to do the work when you don't feel like it. To show up when showing up feels impossible. To choose growth over comfort, progress over perfection, becoming over being. Kobe Bryant died on January 26, 2020. A man who spent his life teaching us how to live. How to die daily so we could be born daily. How to find home in the homeless space between who we are and who we're becoming. His 40 speeches weren't motivational. They were archaeological. They dug up the bones of what it means to be human. To be flawed. To be afraid. To be willing to do the work anyway. I can't relate to lazy people. We don't speak the same language. This wasn't arrogance. This was translation. A man who learned to speak the language of sacrifice in a world that had forgotten what that word meant. He wasn't superhuman. He was subhuman first. Willing to crawl through the darkness that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Willing to have the conversations that most people are too afraid to have. The question isn't whether you're motivated. The question is whether you're willing to be honest. About the gap between who you are and who you could be. About the work that needs to be done. About the person you need to become. Kobe's greatest speech wasn't delivered in an arena. It was delivered in the silence. In the 4 a.m. sessions. In the moments when nobody was watching. In the daily choice to show up when showing up felt impossible. His legacy isn't 40 speeches. It's 40 million moments when someone chose to do the work. When someone chose to translate pain into purpose. When someone chose to die daily so they could be born daily. The gym is empty. The silence cuts like a blade. Most people are dreaming. But somewhere, someone is bleeding into their shoes, one rep at a time. Someone is having a conversation with their potential. Someone is choosing to become. That someone could be you.